All right, all right. Let's get in here. Let's get Facebook rocking and rolling, and we can start talking ball. And for what felt like one of the best Broncos games we've seen in a while. Let's see if Facebook goes. Okay, I was taking a second there. I was panicking. Left the menu up there. Come on, Facebook. Don't let me down, Zuck. There we go. Boom, boom. Welcome in. Welcome in. It is once again, Eric. Once again, Victory Monday on this fine December 15th. Happy holiday season. I know we're ramping up into it. And boy, are the Broncos on an absolute freaking heater. The Broncos end up beating the favored Green Bay Packers in Denver to a tune of the Broncos 34, the Packers 26. I am Nick Kendall. That is Eric Trickle. This is Broncos for Breakfast. Eric, good morning to you. Good to see you. You look freshly shaven. What's going on? Do we have a razor deal going on here for one of our ad reads? Looking good.
No, just got tired of it and just I don't know. With holiday pictures coming up, just decided to have the fresh shaven look. I do want to say if I do cut out, it is because we have really bad wind right now, and we've already suffered a power outage once tonight, and I can't sleep during power outages, so I'm working on an hour sleep. So that's great, but yeah, it's a big win for Denver. This was one of their better games. Still some qualms with defense, and I have some numbers for that we may or may not be able to get into, but it was a good game, and it was the biggest thing is it was the best game I think out of Bo Nix in his career so far.
I mean, I don't think we can really. The game counts, but you have that game against the Chiefs week 18 last year where he had like a perfect, like his quarterback rating was like 96.8 or something insane. You had the game against the Falcons last season where like they couldn't have tackled their way out of a paper bag from that defense. And this was a game where the quality of the opponent and the qualitative analysis too, like the actual watching of the tape, like there was some tough throws and plays. He was under duress a lot of this game. Still shout out to the offensive line. That's, when Parsons out there, and we'll get into the injuries and everything. But yeah, this was far, I think, in my opinion, far and away Bo Nix's best game. And people have talked about all season, you're like, oh, they're winning all these different types of games. I'm like, haven't really seen a game where the passing offense has had to go, drive for drive with another offense that is moving the ball. Like the Broncos, and it's not necessarily their fault. The defense the first 10 weeks was playing really good football. So you didn't have to play that way. And some people are like, well, what about the Browns game last year? That's the one I can think of where you had to be a little bit drive for drive. Now, granted, Jameis Winston, that was kind of a weird one. It didn't feel like, a superpower on the other end. It just felt like, what the heck is going on? And this one felt, the Packers came in top 3 in Vegas Super Bowl odds. Obviously, the favorite coming into Denver, with Denver on now a 12-game home win streak and an 11-game win streak in general. But yeah, Bo Nix played awesome. I mean, you look at the EPA, you look at the completion percentage over expectation, you look at the passing spray chart as well, the average depth of target. I mean, this was you can talk about some dink and dunk like against the Raiders or whatever, the efficiency hitting the explosives. No, not in this game. This was pretty much everything you could ask for. And obviously with the caveat, Eric, that some of the throws maybe a little bit dangerous, right? Like could have tipped the ball and the Packers could have taken it away. I'm okay with that if you're being aggressive and hunting like he was. Like if you're living in a check down behind the line of scrimmage world and you throw that and you're not going for those vertical shots, other than the performative deep balls, maybe sometimes like the early weeks of the season, I can live with that because you are hunting. And that was amazing. So yeah, hats off, Bo Nix. If he plays like that, this team has as good a chance as anybody to be holding up the trophy at the end of the season. Full stop.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as erratic as we've seen in some of the other games that we have, and with some of those other games that would be some of the better games of his career, there was additional context in it too. You mentioned the Browns game. Well, that was the Levi Wallace game where he absolutely got eaten up for it, and Knicks went out there and played great, and the Falcons game, you mentioned that. Well, that defense wasn't great. The Chiefs last year at the end of the season, well, that was the second unit. He was facing a formidable opponent who didn't have those tackling issues, didn't have a clear weak spot in their defense. Yeah, they were trending down, but so is Denver's defense. And that's one of the reasons why last week when we were talking about the game, I mentioned that this one could turn into a shootout. Both defenses were trending in the wrong direction with the offenses trending in the right direction. And that's what we ended up getting. even though I didn't predict that in my score prediction. I thought the defenses would bounce back, but that didn't happen. So Nick's, sure, he wasn't perfect. I can probably go in and find, 5 to 8 throws that, he probably wishes he had back. But, when he throw it like he did and some of the tough throws and as you said, the aggressiveness downfield at times was great. And you can live with some of those plays that, it's near picked off or bad decisions when you have that aggressiveness. And I think that probably one of the best throws that he had in this game was that touchdown to little Jordan Humphrey, where he placed it low and away where only Humphrey can make a play on the ball. And it's just those minor progressions that he's making with his ball placement that are helping him catapult up in his play and his performance over the last few weeks, even with the Raiders game where it was a low average depth of target and, he was being checked down Charlie. His placement was still really good when he did kind of push the ball a little bit against the little bit he did against them.
Yeah, I mean, Bo Nix's best game of his career, and he's on the best streak of his career right now. Since week 11, he is playing like a top 8 to 12 quarterback. Now, I know that there's some talk for MVP, and we've had a little bit of private conversations back and forth about like just call it the most valuable quarterback on winning team award, right? Like who actually is qualifying. It's quarterbacks in the top 6 teams. So, I mean, it's just kind of where the award is right now with how Denver is winning. And especially, some of the stats around Bo Nix, like your historical counting stats, then, maybe there is an argument for some of that. Obviously, you and I both agree right now it's Stafford, but the fact that we're even in that conversation with Bo Nix, especially with how he looked the first 10 weeks of the season. I mean, if you'd have told me, laid out how he looked when I was sitting there in the stands watching that Raiders game on Thursday Night Football, I would have smacked you. I'm like, turn off the TV. Yeah, we need you medicated. There's no way. And ever since that Chiefs game, and granted, again, 4-game sample size, it's starting to be a trend, still relatively small, but like he's a different quarterback. And like I said, with this level of quarterback, the improvisation, the athleticism translating to buying time and kind of doing some of that, dare I say, Mahomesian stuff where like that one where he ran to the right, Eric, and found Troy Franklin and boom, first down, 12 yards. That's unbelievable. And Troy Franklin, shout out to him. He had a big game. My favorite throw of the whole game, Eric, I think it was a 2nd and 15 after a false start to delay a game. That Troy Franklin, was it scissors concept on the left side? I found it there between, I think it was cover 4. That's a hard throw. You got to have some heat on that one. There's a really small window. Shout out for Troy for going up and getting it. But you weren't seeing him confidently throwing that one and like having a chance. I mean, throughout most of his career so far, the last 4 weeks maybe, but that was, if that's the Bo Nix we get going forward, buddy, buckle up. We got a chance as much as anybody in the league.
And on that too, another element that he really did that helped with a lot of those throws was he was really manipulating the Packers coverage units with his eyes on that one play to Michael Bandy, who, congrats to him, first career touchdown, and it was one of his 2 snaps he played on offense. And he absolutely held Javon Bullard, who isn't easy to manipulate with his eyes when you go back and watch his tape. And he was able to just freeze him up. Part of that was with the movement and Nick's looking like he was going to run and there was no one else in the vicinity. So Bullard was put in a tough spot, but sometimes that's how you got to do things. You got to use those legs when you're a mobile quarterback to help pull defenders, and you do that and you dump it off behind him. That's what he did to Bandy. Denver scored a touchdown. He did that on that one play to Troy Franklin late in the game where you can see him making, directing him a little bit. So those are other areas where he's continued to elevate his game and continue to improve. And as you said, if he can keep on this trend, Denver's going to be hard to beat. The only concern with that is the way this defense is trending. That is the only thing that might cause some pause for them. Granted, they bounced back in the second half.
Yes,
in this one, hat tip to Vance Joseph, who, they came in running zone or man coverage over about 50% of the time. They ran zone coverage 74% of the time in this one. And they held Jordan Love to, it wasn't great. He was like 16 of 28 for 162 yards, a touchdown and both interceptions and all 3 sacks with playing zone coverage. But this defense has a concerning trend when it comes to defense in December. And that's just something that they got to figure out, because we haven't seen a whole game from the whole team yet, but we've gotten so close. It's just now need to take that next step. And it would be nice to get that next step where, complete game from everyone on both sides of the ball next week.
I would argue the Bengals game this year felt like a complete game from everybody, but that felt like playing a Division II opponent.
That's
but they didn't
there.
cross midfield after that first drive or something, right? Like that was a non-competitive football game. But it's nice to have some of those every now and then. We got Perry West coming in. Speaking of nice, $34 says great team win, touchdowns versus field goals. And that's the defining stat for this game, Eric. The red zone difference for the Broncos, they win by 8. Another one-score game. A little bit annoyed about that. What will it be now? 9-2 on the season in one-score game, 10-2 in the season in one-score games. But the only ones that weren't were, I think, the Bengals and the Cowboys game. Pretty crazy run. But, the last 2 weeks, Denver probably could have been more than one score, but whatever. And the defining stat on this one, red zone conversions. Broncos, 4 for 4. Shout out to Bo Nix on that as well. And shout out to, I know that Bo, he plays quarterback, so he's always going to get a majority of the attention. But I said it, Eric, Friday night, or Friday morning. I am so freaking Sean Payton pilled right now. I need to get like a Sean Payton tattoo. Put Sean Payton on, let's contact the U.S. Mint. Let's put him on some coins. Like, what an unbelievable turnaround and Sean Payton's vision. He's been calling it as it is, and some people don't like, the arrogance, but my God, if I was as good as he was, I'd be worse. So shout out to Sean Payton. Shout out to Perry West for the super chat as well. Go ahead, Eric.
Can I just add to that with some key numbers for this?
Yeah.
One of them is the turnovers, 2-1. But the key thing is that first interception and what happened after that. That was a huge momentum swing. After that, the Green Bay Packers ran 28 plays and picked up 55 total yards and 3 points. All 3 sacks came after that, and the second interception. That first interception was the turning point for this game. And even though the player was hurt on that, it wasn't after any of those key players were hurt, right? So the whole downplay in the victory for Denver because of the injuries, it's not super valid, but that's a key one. It's why, we've harped on takeaways for this defense for a while. They're game changers, they're momentum swingers, and it was a huge game or a huge play for Patrick Surtain on that one that just absolutely changed the momentum and the way this game was going.
Yeah. Speaking of swingers, here's Michael Ronquillo coming in. Shout out to you, Michael. No, I don't know. Just enjoyed momentum swingers in here. It's too early. He says, good morning, Nick and Eric on Broncos for breakfast. Go Bo Broncos, gifting the 4 memberships. And you're right. That Patrick Surtain interception was the pivotal game momentum swinging play in this one. The Packers had 5 drives before that. They scored on every single one. Now, granted, credit to the Broncos. If those are touchdowns to start the game, it kind of snowballs quickly. And unless Bo Nix is playing even better and worse, like situation around him for that, just because, the obvious drop back, half the drop back, it's not good, especially when you have Parsons on the other side at that point. But Denver, not great. 8 plays for a field goal, 10 plays for a field goal, 9 plays for a touchdown, 8 plays for a field goal. That's the first half is over. Like that is bad from the defense overall. And granted, to be fair, Jordan Love was playing really good football in that first half. So, sometimes you got to tip your cap. Perfect route, perfect pass beats perfect coverage every time. Not that that's happened, but it favors the offense in that regard. And they were beating up the Broncos. Not even necessarily explosive. You're talking minimum, 8 plays on those. After that interception, though, the drives for the Packers. So you had that first play interception, and that was, it was 23-14. You're down by 2 possessions. The Packers after that, 6 plays for 11 yards, 9 plays for 46 yards, 2 plays for 2 yards with interception, downs 7 plays for 1 yard, down 4 plays for -5 yards. I don't know what happened necessarily, Eric. Maybe we can get into it. I haven't had a chance to watch the all 22. We have a kid who's sick at home, so dealing with that up last night a lot. But what a turnaround from the defense. I put it out statistically since week 11. If you're looking at the advanced stats, kind of like a nerd like I am, Denver was 27th in EPA per play on defense. So bottom 6. They're really struggling in that first half. Packers are moving the ball at will. Granted, shout out red zone defense. But after that interception, they look like who we need them to be for the Broncos to make a run.
Yeah, and real quick, Mike Thompson saying, well, their best wide receiver getting injured helped. Christian Watson's not their best wide receiver. But anyways, when it comes to this defense, and I've touched on this, I touched on it, last week as well. They have a concerning trend in December. Last year, Denver was allowing, I actually have the numbers up. They allowed 317.1 yards per game all of last season, but in December alone, it was 435 yards per game. And this year isn't as bad, but they are still allowing more yards per game. It's only about 8 yards. But the concerning aspect of that is they're doing better in the rushing game, but they are allowing almost 30 yards more in the passing game. Not that big of a deal, but that is translating to about 5 more points per game so far in December compared to the rest of the season. That's where it's coming in, and that's where this defense is, the concerns are set in a little bit. Just want to see, that second half defense that we got against the Packers, see that consistently throughout a game. And man, it's great. And then going back to Vance Joseph real quick with that, with the zone coverage and man stuff with Jordan Love, Green Bay was averaging 19 yards per completion against man coverage, 9 yards per completion against zone. So again, hat tip to this defense. They turned it around. Doesn't mean there's not concerns for it with how they've done in December over the last couple of years, but it was a great showing for them to bounce back and really shift the tide of the game.
Yeah, for me, I think not unheralded, that's the wrong word, but the big turnaround in this game, and people are talking about injuries. I get that. But they're talking about Parsons and Watson. That wasn't the injury that I felt like was the tipping point in the game. It was Zach Tom going out. Packers right tackle. After that, Broncos weren't getting any pressure, and they started using Singleton a lot as a mug linebacker, lined up over to the center and playing a lot of games with the right side of the Packers offensive line. And boy, they really were making some pressure and getting after the quarterback after Tom went down. And Tom went down on second quarter, their last touchdown drive of the game. No, they had one that Josh Jacobs, one that was extended because of Riley, but they were moving the ball. And then Tom went down, kind of sputtered a little bit, but injuries are part of the game. You got to weather the storm, and Broncos have had to do that too. So, it is what it is. We got Coach Chris coming in here, $5 super or $50. Gosh, times 5 to the factor of 10 says, good morning. Bo had a great game, but I think it was the best game the Broncos played in the past 2 years. Today's a good day. We clinch a playoff spot. Kansas City out of the playoffs. New England lost. We escaped somewhat healthy. Loved the show. Well, we love you, Coach Chris. $50 is incredible. Thank you so much for your support all season long and being along for the ride. And shout out to all of our morning crew out here hanging out with us. It's a good time. Shout out to you, Eric, out there in Alaska, waking up at 4:30 or whatever it is to do the show. So God bless you. We love some Broncos football. Yeah, to Coach Chris's point, I think it was the best game probably the Broncos have played as far as the last 2 years. I mean, there's a few in there that you might want to argue. I mean, it is an NFC opponent at the end of the day, beating Kansas City in Denver, maybe a little bit more monumentous just because of the demon they have been for Denver. But yeah, it's we'll see. And on the injury front, Eric, I did want to get into that too. You have Brandon Jones leaving with a pec injury. DJ Jones got dinged up a little bit, but he stayed out there. You have a rib injury for RJ Harvey coming out. And I think there's one more that Justin Strnad, ankle injury. That one looked bad. We'll find out more here soon, but the Strnad one felt like the way they were treating it looked more serious.
Yeah, and not only that, you have Patrick Surtain. He left for one play, but his shoulder's banged up again. Yeah. Marvin Mims, he left, and he was dealing with I believe a shoulder injury is what they did. They checked him out for a concussion quickly, but he got cleared, and then they're looking at his shoulder. So Denver got beat up as well in this one. Hopefully nothing is super long term. Obviously losing your star defensive player to just one of your starting safeties and the backup linebacker. Obviously it's a little bit different, but Denver got beat up quite a bit in this one. And hopefully they can go out and clinch next week so they can look into resting some guys the final 2 weeks and get back healthy for the playoffs.
Yeah, I will be curious if Strnad is out for the season, if that pushes things with Drew Sanders at all, just to get some special teams depth out there? I know he's been out and they've been kind of slow playing it with him for the roster spot, but you get pretty darn thin there at linebacker, Eric, if Sternad is seriously out the rest of the season. And we really do need Harvey. I mean, I know they brought in Sincere McCormick. I feel like every time they put out McLaughlin or Beatty out there, it's a wasted play at this point. Running back is definitely an issue for the Broncos. And you mentioned the defense being the biggest concern for you as far as making a run at this point. I put out a tweet first half when the Packers had gone 5 for 5 in scoring drives that if you'd have told me, mid-October that I'd be happier with where Bo Nix and the offense was compared to the defense, I'd have looked at you like you had a second head growing out of your neck. That's where we are. At least that's where we were. Defense showed out in the second half, and let's hope that the gauntlet has been thrown down because they've been regressing. Always that talk of like peaking too early. They felt like they were maybe peaked a little early. We'll see what these last few weeks bring. J Martin 1107 499 super chat says, "Hey guys, love the morning show. Thank you so much." And to shout out to all of you guys listening to the morning show, please like, subscribe, share, click the thumbs up. All that good stuff helps us a heck of a lot too. A lot of good Broncos content creators. I don't know if anybody else is live right now. And if you're joining us from across the pond, say hello. Because I know we got some Europe, Asia fans as well, Australia, all those great continents out there. It says, "I think the Broncos have a chance to go undefeated the rest of the way." I mean, with the Chiefs losing Mahomes for the season and the Chargers having to play Houston, then Denver, and come to Denver, I mean, there's a chance. We'll see. Next week's game against the Jags, with how they are running the football, with how Trevor Lawrence is playing right now, with how Jacoby Myers, the intermediate stuff, kind of picking on the area between the linebackers and the safeties. It's going to be a tough one next week. Luckily, it is in Denver, but that's a red-hot Jacksonville team, and I could see a situation where Denver's really feeling themselves coming off this Green Bay game, and Jacksonville comes in as like kind of shocks them a little bit. And if there's anyone to lose the rest of the season, it's probably that one.
Yeah, that's the one that is a losable game. Although ideally they don't. Denver does have a chance to clinch not only the division but the number 1 seed next week. They need help for both, but a win, they control their own fate. As long as they keep winning, that's them. And the Jaguars, they're going to be tough. But Denver's faced a lot of tough teams before. And this season, I mean, people called the Eagles were going to be tough. That was a game I think both of us predicted Denver was actually going to lose.
Yep.
The Kansas City Chiefs was going to be tough, even despite their record. The Houston Texans. Denver's faced a lot of tough teams and has still come out on top. Granted, it hasn't been pretty, hasn't been perfect, hasn't been the most beautiful, but they've managed to win games. And so I think we've gotten to a point where we shouldn't count out Denver, especially at home. They're taking a lot of pride in this win streak that they have going on that goes back to October of last year. And they're going to be fighting for it. They know what's on the line for it. And I think if it was almost any other coach, I would be with you about feeling themselves a little bit too much after this game. But one thing I've heard consistently is that Sean Payton's done a great job of keeping them focused on the next game at hand. And, it's on to the next one. They're on to the Jaguars starting this week. And they're going to be, I think they're going to be focused. Whether that translates to a win or not, we'll have to wait and see. I don't think it's going to be a risk of them feeling themselves a little bit too much or overlooking the Jaguars or anything like that.
Yeah, I'll see. I feel like coming out of that locker room, the win yesterday, the vibe was a little bit more euphoric and reflective on where they've been this season. So, and the Jags are going to be a tough team, especially if the Broncos are down to the running back room. Talking about things that we're worried about for this team, I think Harvey, what he's done in scoring touchdowns, you can't ignore that. And he's also been a pretty good pass weapon as well. But still, the down-to-down stuff has been erratic. And the Packers did that again this week. 19 carries, 65 yards, long of 8. Not exactly what you want to see. Let's just call it as it is. And it's not, again, running backs are just, 10 to 15% of the run game output, in my opinion. So that's not all on the running back there. And, to talk about maybe left guard at some point too, but the rushing overall 2.9 yards per carry on 31 rush attempts. I wish they were better there, man. It's frustrating.
And the fumble on Harvey.
Yep,
and it was something that you mentioned in last night. Harvey's been carrying it loose all season long. It's been an issue going back to college. It's why his fumble rate isn't ideal. Was one every 70 touches. It was a fumble, and he was about due for one. If you look at his touches so far this season, He was about due, and he's just got it. That's one of the things that he's got to look at working on with how he's protecting that ball as a runner, because Green Bay saw an opportunity and they went at it, and they kept going at it even after that, just because one fumble happens. It just reinforces their opinion, that their belief that they can force another one. And anytime he touched the ball, it was a concern, because he still was carrying it rather loosely throughout the rest of the game, even after that.
He also doesn't always switch the ball to the sideline when he's running, which kind of drives me a little insane. Now, granted, you got to do it cleanly and in the right time. Like if a guy's about to hit you or within the arm's reach, don't be messing around and flipping the football. But like I feel like a lot of times you'll see him get to the left side and the ball is still on the left. You got to put it to the outside where the sideline is securely. Obviously, there's got to be method to it, but yeah, it's something to keep an eye on, and hopefully this reinforces it going forward. Protect the football, especially in the playoffs. I'm kind of glad it happened now, and it only resulted in 3 points, and that was the Broncos' only turnover of the game. But with how the Packers were playing that first half, you need to possess the freaking football. And Denver, I mean, as good as Denver's offense was on the whole in that first half, it would have been a little nicer if they could have, given their defense a break when the Packers were rolling and kind of breaking up that momentum they had. Again, long game, and you weather the storm. They did. They win. We got David coming in here. What do you say to people who say the Jaguars are a lock to win next week unless people get hurt during the game? Denver's on a 12-game home win streak and the number 1 seed, and they have a good offensive line. And Sean Payton, Bo Nix is avoiding negative plays, and the defense, while they're not playing top 8 level right now, they can still get after the quarterback. And the Jags' offensive line is not great. Now, I respect what Liam Cohen's doing out there. They got some guys on the defense, the front 7 as well, some length lottery pick types. But no, a lock, David. Come on, like that's very extreme considering what the Broncos have done here recently. Is it a toss-up game? Let's say if I was Vegas right now, I'd probably put Denver at 2.5, 3.5 favorite in that one. I don't know what the early line is, but a lock for the Jags. Nah.
Yeah, the Eagles were a lock to beat Denver. The Chiefs were a lock to beat Denver. The Texans were a lock to beat Denver. The Packers, they were a lock to beat Denver. There's no such thing as a lock when it comes to football. Plain and simple.
Not in the NFL.
Not in the NFL. There's no such thing as a lock. And people who are saying that are being ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't know, David. I hear what you're saying. Thank you for the super chat, but definitely not a lock. And yeah, man, I know I have a lot of friends, Eric, out here being originally from East Iowa that are Packer fans, and they are pretty upset following that game. And they made, after the Broncos, coming into Denver, spending all that money on that expensive ticket, beautiful weather, at least for them, but then seeing their team not only get beat, but get obliterated with injuries, they may need to call for some external help, and that is where Rula could come in for them. Maybe not Broncos country, but obviously Broncos country too, if you guys need it.
Yeah, it's been a wild season this year for Broncos fans, and we all know how much of a toll it's taken on us mentally. But in all seriousness, though, taking care of your mental health shouldn't be harder than taking care of your physical health. Think about it. If you pull a muscle or your back starts aching or whatever may be physically happening, you go and see a doctor. But when it comes to finding the right therapist, suddenly it's frustrating. You're dealing with long waiting lists, or you have to confront huge out-of-pocket costs. Any one of these factors can stop people from getting the help that they need.
That's where Rula comes in. Rula makes it simple, affordable, and fast. They work with most major insurance plans, and the average session copay is just $15. $15. It's basically the cost of lunch, but instead of a sandwich, you're investing in your own headspace.
And with Rula, you're not just matched with a therapist and left to figure it out. They check in and make sure you're actually making progress. Every therapist on the platform is licensed, vetted, and picked for their expertise, so you're talking to someone legit, not just whoever happens to be available.
Getting started could not be easier. You answer a few quick questions about what matters to you, and Rula connects you with in-network providers who actually fit your needs. You pick the time, and you could be talking to a therapist as soon as the next day. No weeks of waiting, no endless back and forth. Bottom line, if you've been putting this off, Rula takes away the excuses. Simple, affordable, and actually built to help you get better.
Yeah, thousands of people have already used Rula to get the care that they finally needed. Don't keep putting it off. Go to Rula.com/milehigh and get started today. That's RULA.com/milehigh. Take the first step, get connected, and take control of your mental health.
Shout out to Rula. Remember, it is that time of year, can be tough. So also 988 suicide hotline. World's better with you in it. Appreciate all you. Seriously. Appreciate this Broncos team right now. What an incredible streak they're on. Let's say a little bit more people in the chat. Feel like we've been, ad-libbing it here for a second, and obviously all the super chats coming in. But we got David Youngkin. Media is dumber than a box of rocks. As somebody who's figuratively in the media, David, you're absolutely correct.
Yes.
Why is this stupid? We beat the team that everyone bet on and still not good enough. I don't know. I feel like people have turned the narrative around following this Packers game from what I've seen so far. But also, you play the games. The media is there. Like, I appreciate the media because they allow access and coverage and, like, sometimes offer different perspectives, which is valuable. But let's be real. They're there to fill the time between the games. And that's what we're here for, too. So, again, any of them who take themselves too seriously or, prophetic, probably leave the ego at the door. Anybody who says they have all the answers, go bow at the altar of a false god, I guess. But appreciate you, David, coming in. Unless you're listening to our show, we always get it right, of course.
Always. I mean, it's especially on Friday nights, where I talked about, how Denver was going to have fewer penalties and fewer penalty yardage than the Packers in this one, and they did. So, see, always right.
Yeah, 660 versus 1072. All right, that's a step in the right direction. Winning the turnover battle, I would say special teams maybe was a wash. We had a little bit better returns, but McManus not missing a field goal and hitting a 53-yarder or whatever. I mean, probably a wash there. That's okay, though. I mean, that's not a loss, so we'll take it. More folks coming in here want to say hello. Of course, David Youngkin, hope you're doing well. Money Moore, the Denver Find Away Broncos. I don't know if you've heard coming out of the locker room in this game, but they kind of have bestowed themselves a nickname coming out of this game, and I absolutely love it. The Overdogs. Because they keep being the underdogs and they close out games. It's overdog. Like I actually, that one's great for the team as a whole. I know that they've been really kind of pushing, I think Jim Nance in this last game, if that's who it is with Tony Romo, pushing the Orange Rush. I don't know. I think it's the overall team that deserves the nickname. I don't know if the defense is, I mean, they're good. Like, even if they've struggled the last 4 weeks relatively, they're good. But the overdogs, considering everybody keeps, dismissing them, Bo Nix, underdog at home. I think the Overdogs is a sick name.
I like it. I like it for the team as a whole. I do like the Orange Rush as well for the defensive front and, being specific with them. And it is definitely better than, I don't know, the Denver Broncos. Like, that's probably one of the dumbest nicknames that you could possibly have. So, hey, I'll take the Overdogs over that any day.
Yeah, I think you got to put a little emphasis on your syllables. The Denver Broncos. I know I'm not going to say the name because I don't want you to press your lizard button. We got Denver Luke coming in saying Victory Monday. Absolutely. Jay's in the house. Good to see you. Joseph says a few close calls, including Franklin's touchdown not called. I know that they kind of took away the touchdown there, but watching it again, I watched like the 20-minute extended highlights because I was still too amped before bed, and he probably would have been tackled short because there was a linebacker right there. But still, I mean, that's one of those ones. It's tough. Like, a lot of times, like the goal, like if it's a possession sort of things, like coming down in the end zone, let it play out. But let's say he is down and you let it play out and he gets obliterated and gets hurt. Like, that's one of those ones where it's like, okay, let him play, but also the player safety line, like that one, a little bit more excusable. If Denver didn't score a touchdown there, probably would have been a little bit different story. But hey, we're dealing with where we're at. That's great. Dave coming in here. Who can't we beat? I mean, I don't think there is a no doubt super team in the NFL right now, firing all sides. You can point at the Broncos defense of late. You can point at the running game, but that doesn't mean that they can't win. Like, that's just the story of football, right? And the very few perfect games against quality opponents. You got to find different ways to win. And this was a different way to win for the Broncos. Mark coming in says, dang, team is relevant again. Another week of fine highlights. Yeah, absolutely. Mike said Singleton was hard to watch. Yeah, he struggled in this one in the run game. That Josh Jacobs rushing touchdown. Where are you going, buddy? Singleton on that one. That one was rough. I think Roach got flattened in that one too.
Yeah.
That was they make plays too. And Jacobs continues to be a Bronco killer. That might have been, assuming he stays with the Packers, Lord knows with running backs, but that might have been the last time he ever plays Denver. Considering they won't play the Packers again for another 4 years. So we'll see.
Maybe.
Super Bowl. Yeah, I know. Regular season, but we'll see. I don't know. NFC becomes open too. I mean, do you see the Rams lost Adams and Nakua got hurt in this last one. I mean,
Yeah.
Seahawks barely beating Grandpa Rivers. It's tough to win. And I said this in the show a couple weeks ago, Eric, and I said it to my buddy as well, talking about like, oh, the Broncos, have had a lot of like lucky wins. They don't get credit for like the everything clicking, blowing teams out kind of games that you sometimes see from those super teams. But my God, why do they not get credit for how high their floor is every game? Like, when is the last time the Broncos didn't show up and beat a team they were supposed to? It hasn't happened in 2 years. So, I mean, I think there's a lot to be said for now. Maybe they don't have their uppers, everything clicking, looking like a juggernaut, but you don't have the bottoming out variance that you have from a lot of teams as well. So I don't know. I think Sean Payton and Bo Nix and defense, offensive line, all that should get credit for that other end of the spectrum too.
Yeah, and it's one of those things when you go back and look, a lot of times that high-powered offense that's, blowing teams out consistently every single game, what happens to the playoffs and the Super Bowl? Broncos fans should be well aware of what happens in a Super Bowl with that, and it's kind of repetitive for it. So when you have that higher floor, it makes you much more difficult to beat than it does if you have that high-powered offense that's dropping 30 plus points consistently. Like, just because you're just a more rounded team doesn't mean Denver doesn't have holes, but they have a higher floor and they manage. And there is probably nothing better for the mentality of this team than consistently finding ways to pull it off late in the game. Because if you're constantly blowing teams out, that could just kind of give you, and when you have to face adversity, who knows what you're gonna, what your mindset's gonna be. Well, we know what Denver's mindset is when they're down 3 with 4 minutes left or down 7 with 4 minutes left, and they're just gonna go out there and they're just gonna do whatever they can to find a way to walk out with a win. So it's hard not to, as long as games are close, like you got to bet on the Broncos at this point.
Yeah, C-Note comes in and says, what are they going to say now? Jamie coming in, Bo Nix threw 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. We got Mike Thompson saying Franklin impressed me. Yeah, I mean, the defense as a whole in the second half, that Surtain touchdown was awesome. Shout out to Zach Allen for that one too, because he gets pressured quickly and it kind of changes the trajectory of the football and how much strength Love can get on. I mean, you got to match rush and coverage, and it gives you a chance. So shout out to them. Shout out to a lot of those guys in this game. I mean, what did Zach Allen had like 6 hits in the second half or something. I mean, he was getting after it. And that Broncos pass rush came alive. But for me, if I was, counting the top 3 players in this game, game balls coming out, probably Bo Nix. I mean, not probably. Bo Nix is number 1. Cortland Sutton, have a game, buddy. God bless him for playing man coverage one-on-one against him. And then I have to also give a shout out to Troy Franklin. I mean, you had Pat Bryant out. Franklin had slowly but surely been losing reps and targets for understandable reasons to Pat Bryant, but he comes in 6 receptions on 6 targets, 85 yards and a touchdown. I mean, only outdone by Cortland Sutton, 7 for 10, 113 yards and a touchdown. So really, really good game for both those Broncos wide receivers. And again, we're tough on Franklin a lot on this show, but I feel like you can't be somebody who is like, okay, you're tough on them, and then when they have a good game, you ignore it just for your own narrative. Like, he had a good game. He had a couple of great plays where he broke some tackles and like gained extra yards. Now, granted, there was at least one screen I can think of where it's like, why are you running to that shoulder, running into the defender early on? But overall, I mean, a really good game from Troy Franklin, and you're going to need him down the stretch, especially if the run game looks like this for the Broncos.
Yeah, and he has his value. I mean, Packers run a lot of zone, and he was able to find the weak spot in zone and make himself a target and picked it up. But I think the best thing that he did was that one where the defender is draped all over him and he fought at the catch point and secured that ball and picked up the yardage. And I believe it was for a first down or got it into a 3rd and short situation. I can't remember exactly which, but that was the highlight play from Franklin for me this game, because that toughness at the catch point, that is not something that we've seen basically at all throughout his career. And there it was. And then, with how unreliable his hands can be, the fact that he secured that ball and held on to it is also a very big difference maker for this offense. And so hat tip to him. He definitely deserves it. As you said, Cortland Sutton deserves it. I'm going to give one out to a guy who doesn't play a whole lot, but definitely deserves a shout out. Dondre Tillman, not just for what he did in this game, but over the last 3 games, or in the last 8 games, he's only playing about less than half the snaps. 2 interceptions, 3.5 sacks, 3 tackles for a loss, 6 quarterback hits, 23 tackles. He's really become a great depth piece for the Broncos and just speaks to how depth and talented they are at the edge position, which is why Q Robinson can't, get active outside of injuries to Jonah Ellis.
Yeah, Jonah Ellis also solid game from
Yeah.
him. Cooper frustrated me a little bit early on, but I thought he played better in the second half.
Yep.
So yeah, no,
Still
it's
has some serious discipline issues that are going to be even more problematic next week against the Jaguars with what Lawrence is doing.
man, he had some crazy highlights in that last one. Ernie Mays, our guy, hello, 13-2 against the Jaguars. I believe and Bo Nix, fantastic. Yeah, money more coming in. Prayers up for Parsons and Watson. My heart sank. Yeah, I have a bunch of Packer fan friends, and immediately sent them a text. Just like G darn it. Yeah, let me make it real PG in here. E for everyone. But yeah, I didn't want to see that, and I know like. If you guys go back to 2021, I wasn't really interested in Parsons because of some of the stuff that happened in Happy Valley with him. But I mean, he's kept his nose clean and been kind of a fun player in the NFL and one of the top 3 defensive players in football for my money over the last 5 years. Like he's right now probably my vote for the all-decade team and edge rusher opposite Myles Garrett, who is a tier of his own. But Parsons probably number 2, and that stinks. And that could be. I mean, talk about a sliding doors moment there. Like they don't have any first round picks until 2028. Who knows how long it takes for him to get back? That's a big change. And it might be, we'll see what happens next week. But with how the Bears are playing and how their last 2 draft classes are, I mean, that's windows open. Kind of like for Mahomes going down in this one. He'll probably be back fall next year, but could be a little slow out the gate. Could be without Travis Kelce. We'll see what happens with Andy Reid. They're ready to run him out. I mean, different changing of the guard, if you will, and it's coming up navy and orange, maybe different, on the color spectrum, but Bears Broncos, shout out to them. We got our guy Shiloh, big dub for the boys in orange and blue. Speaking of which, Coach Chris, again, great to see you, appreciate you. Gaber coming in says we don't have a best running back. Yeah, absolutely. It's God, I hope RJ Harvey is interested. And something else, Denver Luke says, is Ben Powers back? He probably is back this upcoming week.
Sounds like
I don't
this
know
week.
if we'll hear anything, but that's where he's trending, Eric.
Yep. And I mean, it was always a long shot for the Packers game, and they kind of made it very clear, even though they activated him, they opened up his practice window. The fact that he was still limited working in one-on-one situations off to the sideline, it made it pretty clear right away that he wasn't going to be back for this one. But I believe it was Mike Kliss in one of his articles in passing mentioned that they're expecting teamwork from Ben Powers this week. And that's a good sign and a step in the right direction because, man, Denver needs it because Alex Palczewski is so bad.
Had to get it in there, didn't you? Thank God for being admirable, I guess. But there's a reason that they went to Parrott first, who still, I feel like justice for Parrott because playing through that season-ending injury after the first or third play of that game against Quinn Williams, who's pretty darn good. Bronco for life coming in says, what team do you not want to play in the playoffs? I want to play every team in the playoffs because that means we keep winning probably to some extent, right? But for me in the AFC, I think I'm probably the most afraid of the Bills. I mean, just coming back from 21-0 in the snow on the road, Josh Allen has a chance to go Super Saiyan, if you will, for you Dragon Ball Z nerds at home. So that's one that, I mean, I don't think their defense is good, but Josh Allen is unbelievable. So that's one that scares me. Who do I not want to play? I mean, bring them all on, especially if they're coming to Denver. But it's probably Bills and also the Texans for me. Texans offensive line is average now, but you pair that with the best defense in football. Sorry, Broncos country. But you pair that with the best defense in football with how they travel and Stroud playing pretty good football as of late as well. I think they've kind of found a little bit of an identity and with how physical they are on the defensive side of the ball. I know Denver beat them once already, but you've knocked out Stroud early. That was Mills coming in without getting the reps. Texans are the one that I think is probably the toughest, most complete team. So it's either them or the superhero Josh Allen who can, have an unbelievable game.
Yeah, it's the same for me. The Bills defense doesn't scare me, but just Josh Allen with what he's able to do, and the Texans. I can't remember exactly what the number was. I remember seeing it last year at some point, so I don't know how much it's changed. There's like 80% of the time when a team loses to another team in the regular season, they beat them in the playoffs, going back to like 2010 or something like that. And it's not counting divisional games where they play twice, so it's only one-on-one matchups. So that scares me. Texans travel well, and CJ Stroud did leave that game early with the injury, and Davis Mills did come in and played admirably. But he'll be back, and that Texans defense is just getting even better. Like, they scare me because of how complete of a team they can be. That offensive line is starting to get things figured out. Running backs are starting to get healthy. And then the Bills, as you said, Josh Allen, like, he is one scary player to go against, especially maybe it's some little bit of PTSD after the playoff game last year with what the Bills offense just did to the Broncos defense all game long.
They can get heavy and they can run on you. And Broncos then cannot pin their ears back on third down. So it's they're a tough matchup. I'd love to see them. I mean, they're gonna have to come into Denver, right? I don't think do the Bills have a chance at the number 1 seed still?
Yes, they do.
I think they actually do. They're still the Chargers and Patriots.
Patriots, and the Bills.
Broncos. Yep. Did not want to go anything to do with going to Buffalo. We got Jamal coming in. Good morning. 11 straight wins. Yeah, absolutely incredible. Mike Craw comes in, says, talk about Moss. Kids getting ridiculed week in, week out. Refs are calling him for everything. Yeah, I even saw Moss wore the long navy sleeves and the white gloves, so you couldn't see any pigment in the arms. Still getting called for it, though. I don't know what's going on. But, yeah, that was a very, very soft game. And I feel we talked about it before, like, if you watch it in slow motion, you can call it a penalty. That's one of those ones, though, if you're calling that on every play, 30% of the plays, 40% of the plays are going to have penalties down the field in man coverage. You might disagree, Eric. I think a lot of defensive backs also came out and said that, like, they're arm fighting, and if you watch it in slow motion, it looks bad, but the Packers player also is hooking and grabbing, running down the field. So one of these times, maybe we'll get an OPI called against him too. I don't know. But I think it's one of those things. We've talked about it a lot. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. You're going to be playing some press man, and you're going to have some down the field shots against him. And with Surtain on the opposite side, Moss is going to get targeted. I think he went 7 for 10 in this one with 2 pass defenses, interception. You live with it. Still, the area for the Broncos, even though it doesn't feel like it, if you go against EPA per play, honestly, it's Jaquan who's the weak part of the defensive backfield right now. I think they are 27th in the league in EPA per play to the slot position. So, again, something to watch. But I know I can see your eyes, Eric. You're like, that's a pass interference. But let the boys play. Come on, let the boys play.
It is pass interference. Like when you read the tech, let me get through this. When you read the definition of pass interference, it is anything that it makes it harder for them to make a play on the ball. Moss is holding the guy's arm back. He cannot move his arm, and it wasn't back and forth fighting. He was moving his arm. That said, it is something that happens every single play, and it's a weak call for that because just let them play at that point. And but also on that note too is you got to pay a little bit of attention to where the refs are when you're doing this. And this is something that I've seen a couple former Richard Sherman talked about this in one pregame for Sunday Night Football at one point. He's like, you always got to be aware of where the refs are and then and make sure you do it to where they can't see it. Moss is pretty blatant with it. And that's just an issue. But it is a thing. It's frustrating. I get it. It's frustrating for everybody, and it's frustrating for him because of how often it happens. Stuff like that happens every single play. So it's frustrating, but doesn't mean it's not pass interference. Just means it probably would have been better not getting called.
And there was a big second down. I'm sure if you're on Twitter, you'll see it from the Packers fans crying, but there was a big second down conversion where Bo Nix ran to the right and then to the left, and it was a pretty obvious hold on Micah Parsons from Garrett Bowles that didn't get called. Sometimes that's just the game, right? If you called it like letter of the law, slow motion, screen captures, you can point at every single thing. I mean, even some of them are using screen captures and saying Mike McGlinchey's at fault for the non-contact ACL injury on Micah Parsons. And it's like, Jesus Christ. Like, he barely touches the shoulder pad on that one. Like, you freeze it and it looks like, oh, he's definitely yanking him there. No, not at all. And I even saw like, oh, Bounty Gate Broncos. Yeah, the non-contact Bounty Gate. Perfect. Good. or hang the banner, I guess, for that one. Stupid.
And I just wanted to grab this. My favorite is when the official closest to the Riley doesn't call it, but the official across the field does, because the official closer to him doesn't have better eyesight onto what's happening because of where their bodies are compared to the ref on the other side of the field.
Yeah. I did love the passion from Riley Moss in the post-game interview. Yep. Ball doesn't lie and getting the ball taken away. Good hands on that one. And, man, let's hopefully 2 interceptions there. Jordan Love only had 4 coming into the game on the season, maybe 6. Is either 4 to 6 now or 6 to 8 now. But, I mean, awesome to see that in the second half. And let's hope they start coming in bunches now. Shout out to Jeremy in the house. Bo Nix having his best game of his career for the Broncos. Yeah, awesome to see. I didn't want to say hello to more people coming in. Yeah, David, people are saying the Jags are locked to win, or Jags fans. I mean, shout out to David coming in for the super chat, but he's, he kind of has that Seattle mindset, right? It's a little cloudy all the time. And I can be negative too sometimes, a little bit more, prove it multiple times. Let's see what the sample is, follow the data. But yeah, David, enjoy the moment. Enjoy both the Bears and the Broncos. They're both your teams. This is rare. And if you can't enjoy it, if you can't enjoy the Broncos right now, then you're never going to enjoy them. Like, enjoy the moment.
And I just want to grab this. Can you see through bodies?
I can.
Like, it just comes to that is when you look at where the penalty is, it's literally with his arm by his stomach on the other side of where the ref is.
Mm.
It's pretty simple. And that is the one thing, again, I talked about how former defensive backs, Richard Sherman talked about this, about keeping eyes on them. It's always be wary of the other side ref, not the ref on your side. That's easier to hide. Worry about the other side ref.
I still think you can't call it as much as they do, and it's very frustrating.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing with that. But doesn't change that it's still a penalty. You can't hold the guy's arm down. It's that simple.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Jeremy, because his Bo Nix and Troy Franklin, 2 of their best games since week 2, probably. Like Troy Franklin looked pretty good against the Colts, and he's been useful but underwhelming since then if your goal is wide receiver 2. Good auxiliary piece. Played like a wide receiver 2 in this one. Jason O'Neill, good day, gentlemen. Broncos country and all Broncos fanatics. Another W at home as underdogs. Overdogs. Sweet music to my ears. Missed the game in the hospital waiting my 4th child. Holy cow.
Congratulations.
Jason, get off of her. No, I was kidding. No, that's awesome. Shout out to you as I'm going to lean over here. The dog switched spots. He's in my area now, but I got the sun coming up. It's coming up in Broncos country again as well. Chase in the house. Good to see you. Offense proved yesterday they can win high-scoring games. Bo provided that. Still wasn't the down-to-down. I mean, you didn't have a singular explosive run in this game, I don't think. Yeah, long of 8. Not what you want to see from the run game, Eric. You want a little bit better overall from the run offense. But, yeah, it's a good win for the Broncos, and we can nitpick all day if we want. But, yeah, good to see the Broncos get the win and in the driver's seat now. I don't know, Eric, you're not as much of a baseball guy, I know, but the magic number is 2. For like clinching the division and the first round bye. So that's either 1 win and a loss for the Chargers, 1 win and a loss for the Patriots, or 2 out of the next 3 wins for the Broncos. And that's it. That's all she wrote. You get the first round bye. And boy, again, we're overtime right now. We got to get on out of here. I hear the kid crying. I got to get my booty into work. But again, the Broncos are ahead of schedule. We're still dealing with the cap ramifications of Russell Wilson, all the picks that you've had behind them too. And nobody expected, I mean, even the most, you and I think Cecil Lamey, the only people I know who predicted the Broncos being 13-4 this season and being like, that's too much. I think I predicted 11 or 12 wins for the Broncos. So vastly outperforming expectations. And, we can get into it with ourselves or other fans or blah, 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 blah. This is a pretty special moment in Broncos country, and ahead of schedule, shouldn't be here. Shout out to the team. Shout out to George Payton, Sean Payton, the fans yesterday, except the ones who sold their tickets to Packer fans. Screw you guys. Should have sold it to me for less money. That if you love the Broncos, you'd have done that. But no, yeah, I really just want to take a moment and just point out, as like critical as we are, as I am, for them to be on this run, winning these games, number 1 in the AFC. I think the Athletic has them at like a 64% chance to get the 1 seed now. It's really awesome. And it's a rare occurrence. So trying to be appreciative of where they're at right now and meaningful winning football. I'll say it. I believe right now, but it's the team itself. Like Bo Nix, if he plays like this the last 4 weeks going forward, hell yeah. But it's the team. It's the infrastructure. I mean, they can go into a den of lions and come out, with a new rug, if you know what I'm saying. So shout out to this Broncos team, and hopefully everybody's enjoying it as much as I am right now, because it is fun. I haven't had this much fun in a decade, since 2014. Honestly, 2015 was like excruciating. 2014 when they were great on both sides of the ball before Peyton got hurt.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride this season, but Denver's clinched the playoffs. Work still to be done, as you said. They still have the division and the number 1 seed to clinch. It's gonna take some help. It's doable next week. They need some losses as well as the win, but they control their own fate. As long as they win, it's theirs. They just got to win 2 games at minimum for that to happen, unless they do get that help next week. So it's all in their hands, and this has been a wild ride, as I said, but it's also been a fun one to watch them. It's been fun to watch, especially over the last few weeks, what this offense has been doing against, watching the run game get going against the Raiders. I wish we could find a way to do that consistently. Bo Nix coming off the best game of his career by far against the Packers, and hopefully being able to continue to build off that. And it's hard to imagine anybody beating this Broncos team. Again, concern is with the defense and just finding a little bit more consistency in the first half. But the way that they bounce back in the second half, I saw something that they are like 12th in EPA per play in the first half and like 3rd in the second half or something like that. So it's been a pretty season long, trend for the Broncos, but they just got to find a little bit more consistency for it. And it's a fun ride. And I'm ready for a complete football all the way around in Denver once again, and so close to getting there.
Yeah, we're close. Eric, I should have stuck with my guts earlier when I said my gut earlier when I was trying to pick the Broncos Jags spread, because I'm like, it feels like it should be 3, but they never really do the flat line, right? It's always like a half point. So I went 3.5, but I'm like, it feels 2.5 to 3.5. The line is 3 right now. So I was calling it as it is. And next week, games to watch for the Broncos as well. You got the Chargers at the Cowboys. That should be a very fun game. Dallas is favored by 1.5. That's on the 11 o'clock slot. Easy to get tickets, only $21 for that one. So get in there. That'll be awesome to see. And then you got the Patriots at the Ravens. They're 2.5 points. So that'll be an interesting one to follow for the Broncos. And then what was the last one we needed still? Oh, the Bills. The Bills as well. Bills are playing at Cleveland. Well, yeah. Sorry about that. But yeah, no, it's Amy coming in here over on X. Good to see you. Leonard, go Broncos, go. Fantastic. And Eric, I was complaining about how expensive the Broncos Packers tickets were this week. Cheapest ticket to get in the door, Green Bay at Soldier Field, $400. Oh my God. Bears fans are feeling themselves, as they should. They look good. And man, that 2024 quarterback class looking pretty good right now as well. So Eric, we went through the whole show without me saying Drake, May. So you can press your lizard button because we got to get out of here. Appreciate everybody coming in, all the super chat givers. You guys are great. As I try to pull it up, there we go. Shout out to Perry West, Michael Ronquillo, of course, Coach Chris, $50 ruse, Jay Martini coming in here. We got, of course, Denver Luke. Always appreciate you over on Instagram, David Carmelo and David Youngkin. Hopefully you're doing well, and everybody in the chat that's been dealing with your medical maladies. Rough. Hopefully feeling a lot better going forward. And of course, I clicked the wrong one. There we go. Fantastic. Make sure you guys are following us at Mile High Huddle. Follow Eric at Eric Trickle. I'm at Nick Kendall, MHH. We're over at Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. If you're listening after the fact, or even if you don't, find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star rating and review. And as that ticker says there underneath, please subscribe, like, and share over on YouTube. Shout out to you guys. Love all y'all. Yeah, shout out to Louisville and the Ravens. Hopefully you guys take care of business against the Pats this week, although, I don't know, the AFC North is not good this season. And smash the like button too. So shout out to you, Julie. Shout out to everyone. Happy Monday. Again, appreciate where you're at. soak it all in. Lord knows, like, is Denver going to win the Super Bowl this season? I don't know. It's tough to win 3 games in a row against playoff caliber teams, right? You got to get a little bit of luck in that as well. But they got as good of a chance as freaking anybody. So appreciate it. Appreciate the turnaround. It's been awesome. You guys have a great rest of your day. Choose kindness and compassion. Go Broncos.